Hello, Year 12. Um, I've got a short video for you today because we've reached the end of the Nature and Attributes of God unit. So well done. You've done so much work on this. You've worked really hard. And thank you for your feedback on the last few videos I've done. Hopefully they've been helpful. And so I will carry on doing them for the next unit as well. Today I'm giving lots of different independent tasks to do. So I'm just going to talk you through those. And then there's one thing I'd like to try out we've never done before, so that we can have a little bit of interaction with each other as well. And I just wanted to say it was really nice to see some of you guys at a distance at the weekend at the anti-racism protests. So well done for getting involved and using your voices, and hopefully you are staying safe. And hopefully we'll get to see you soon. I was in school last week and Amber was there, so I got to see Amber. And yeah, it would be really nice over the next few weeks to see some of you. I'll be in school on Wednesdays, and that's the best day to get in touch with me if you'd like a video chat or a phone call as well. But the rest of the week is great on email. So let's make a start. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you a little PowerPoint. It's the end of the unit. So if we were in school, I'd be using the double lesson to do just revision of all the key terms, do a few little interactive activities, and I'd get you to be I'd be getting you to plan some essays as well. So I'm going to try and do that, but obviously it's very different doing this remotely. So like the other videos, you will need to pause in a couple of places and get on with the task on your own. And then at the end of the double lesson, when you finish the work, please email it to me, and then I can mark it and give you some feedback. Very first thing I want you to do then is just have a look down this list. So all the words in purple are terms that we've looked at in the Nature and Attributes of God unit. And the words in green are, hopefully it doesn't take you long to work out, some of our key scholars. Now I have put in there some words that maybe we haven't looked at, or you'll only have come across if you've done all of the reading that I asked you to do. And some of the scholars that are listed on the right hand side we haven't looked at directly in this unit, but we've looked at some point this year. And so hopefully you can make some links. So what I'm asking you to do, please, is you're going to pause the video and I'd like you to write down all of the words in purple and just make sure that you can define them all. So some of them should be quite easy. So eternal should be quite easy for you to define. And if you're really happy with your definition, then don't need to write that down, just keep the word there. But just go through. Transcendent is one that you might not all know, so you might need to check what that means. I'm happy if you just use a dictionary or Google it. You don't need to go back through all of your notes. Benevolent, hopefully you know what that means because we covered it last lesson, but you might not know what malevolent means. So go through first, just make sure that you can define all of the key terms. And if it's one that we haven't looked at or you might not have come across, like sempiternal or libertarian, then write it down, please. And then I want you to see if you can link any of those concepts to some of the key scholars that are in green on the right hand side. And hopefully you can remember something about what each of them said. But again, if there's one there that you don't recognise, then go back through your notes and try and find out a bit more, and then see if you can match it to one of the key terms on the other side. So pause the video now. That should probably take you about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so because we talk about the nature of God, we've looked at that from a Christian context. Remember, it doesn't always have to be. A lot of the arguments we looked at could be about any of the monotheistic religions. But we have used the Bible as sort of a source of wisdom and authority in this unit. So I'd like you to think about kind of quotes or stories that you could use in an essay from the Bible. So can you think of anything in the Bible that relates to God's love, God's interaction with his people, God as having a vengeful nature? So think about the way that Richard Dawkins sees the biblical God. Is there anything in there that's related to God's eternity or timelessness, God's power or God's knowledge? So hopefully in all of the topics that we've done, I've given you some examples of those. So just go back through and see if you can think of at least one example for all of those. And this one is one that I actually mentioned in my lesson last time, but I didn't really go into that much depth. So for this task, you're going to need to pause. It's going to take you about 15 minutes. I'd like you to find the parable of the rich young man. It comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 19 in the New Testament. And you can find that if you just Google that or go to BibleGateway.com. You can read it in lots of different versions. And I just want you to think about, what does it say about God? So which of God's attributes that we've studied are highlighted in this story? And what can we learn about what Christians believe about God in there? And are there any problems that are raised? And then try and find some of it that you could learn as a quote for an essay. Okay, and this is where we get to the stuff that I really want you to be able to put everything you've learned into practice and use your exam skills, your essay writing skills to work on those. So there's a few activities for you to do here, and the first one is essay reading. I think essay writing is important, but I do think it's good that you have a look at some good examples and some bad examples, so you know what really goes into making a good essay. So I have, I'm attaching to the email I'm sending you 2 essays, and what I'd like you to do is to read through those and just highlight some of the key points. So here are some things. So read the essay. What do you think is good about it? And what do you think an examiner might like about that essay? So all of those things that I've told you examiners are looking for, what can you find in that essay you're reading? And then I'd like you to highlight and underline. And if I were you, like we do in class, I'd colour code this. So pick one colour that's going to represent key terminology, and I'd go through and highlight all of the key terms. Maybe another colour for academic or philosophical language, another one for scholars, another one for examples, another one for quotes like from the Bible, and then another colour that shows where they are critically analysing and given a viewpoint. And then at the end, just think about, is there anything else that could have been improved? Is there anything that you would have expected to see in an essay on that topic but didn't see in that essay? So there's 2 essays to choose from. And the 2 essays, there is an essay here on eternity. So evaluate the philosophical problems caused by the belief that God is eternal. And you have got the mark with this one. So this is back when these were out of 35 marks, and this got 26 out of 35. So that's not bad. So have a look through that and see what you think. It's definitely not perfect. So, you know, look for all of those things that I listed and let me know what you think about that one. And then the other one that you can choose from is a typed one, which you might find easier, on omnipotence. So critically assess the philosophical problems raised by the belief that God is omnipotent. So almost exactly the same question, just swapping out one of those keywords. And you could have the same for omniscient, omnibenevolent, yeah, all 4 of the attributes that we've looked at. Okay, so that is the essay reading section. So read an essay, highlight it. That might mean you need to print it. If you can't print, then use the Word document one and highlight it in Word by editing it. So that task should take you 20 minutes to half an hour. And then I'd like you to pick a question to just essay plan. Okay, so I'm not asking you to write a whole essay today. That's really important. I just want you to think about what these might be asking you and plan one of them. So you've got 4 questions there, one on omnipotence, one that is talking specifically about Boethius, one about benevolence, and one about eternity. So you could pick one that you feel most confident with, or you could pick the one that you find hardest to plan an essay on. So the first thing to do, I would write this down on a piece of paper and just have a look by annotating the question at what it's really asking you. So critically assess and evaluate, they basically mean the same thing. They want you to present an argument showing the two sides of the argument. Then we've got things like, so this one's obvious, omnipotence. This one's a bit trickier, so it's Boethius' solutions raised by the nature of God in Constellations of Philosophy, chapter 5. So that does require that you did the reading that I set you on Boethius. You could go back and read that again. Assess the claim the universe shows no evidence of the existence of a benevolent God. So think about what that's talking about when it's talking about there's no evidence of a loving God. I think that's really a question about how can there be a loving God if evil exists? So you're going to want to bring in your knowledge on the problem of evil with that one as well. And finally, evaluate the philosophical problems raised by the belief that God is eternal. And so it's not enough just to talk about whether God is eternal or timeless or everlasting, but the philosophical problems raised include things like the problem of free will. Can we be free if God knows what will happen? And how is this linked to omniscience? So remember that although these are 4 separate attributes of God, they are really, really heavily linked, and you can't really talk about one without talking about the others. So have a think about that when you plan your essays. So in order to help you to plan the essays, we're going to do 2 things. And that is, we're going to have a look at those questions really carefully. So, make sure you're annotating them and you think about what they're asking you. And then doing a little chain email. And I haven't tried this yet, so it could go horribly wrong. So I'm going to explain how we're going to do that. Actually, I'm going to send 3 emails. So the first one I am going to send to the first person on the register, and that's Hannah. Okay, I'm only using school emails, so hopefully that's okay because you're all on the same email list. And I'm going to change this slightly. So this is the first question. And I'm just going to say, is omnipotence the most problematic of God's attributes? Okay, and so all Hannah needs to do is respond to that. Yes or no, and why would probably be a good way to do it. Now, the difference is I'm going to CC me into this, and I want all of you to CC me into all of your conversations for this topic. So Hannah, instead of sending that back to me, you are going to send your response with my bit as well. So you're just going to add to it down here. You're going to send your response to the next person on the list. So you're going to send yours to Lily, and Lily, you're just going to add to that, and you're going to send it to Ruby, and Ruby, you're going to add to it, and you're going to send it to Dylan. Dylan, you'll add to it and send it to Peaches, and Peaches, you'll add a bit and send it to Winona, and then Winona, you'll finish that question and you'll send it back to me. Okay, and then this one will go to Ruby with me CC'd in. And Ruby, when you get that, you're going to respond and send that to Zaina. Zaina, you'll add to it and send it to Jess. Jess, you'll add to it and send it to Queenie. Queenie, you'll add to it and send it to Millie. Millie, you're going to add to it and send it to Nicole. And Nicole, you'll finish that one off and send it back to me. So I'll be CC'd in all of those anyway. And then the final one, I'm going to send to Maggie. for this one, we'll go, if God is eternal, we are not. Okay. So Maggie, you will add to that and you'll send that to Tess. Tess, you'll add to it, send it to Amber. Amber, send it to Kizzy. Kizzy, send it to Max. Max, send it to Lola, and Lola, send it to Amy. And then hopefully we'll have 3 essay plans that you've all contributed a little bit to. I'm going to say a minimum of 2 sentences, please, and a maximum of 5 sentences. When we've done that, or as you've done that, there's another little tool to help you with essay planning that I'm sending you. So I'm also sending you an essay planning sheet, which you've seen before. So you put the question into this box at the top, and then you've got some space there to do your plan, and then you've got a reminder of the sort of things you need to include and what your conclusion is going to be. So this is the thing that I really want you to hand in, please, to let me know you've done the lesson today. So I'm not asking for a full question, I'm just asking for a plan. And I'm going to give you till the end of the week to do that, please. That is all the topics. The only thing left to do, if you have time in the 2 hours, is you could just do some mind mapping or go back to those revision sheets and add to them. Make sure that you are really happy with all of those attributes of God. And if there's something you're not sure about, please email me, and I'm really happy to call, phone up, do a video call, as well as answering emails. So, done this. I think it's always nice to think at the end, you know, how have we got on with that topic, especially as this is the whole topic that you've kind of done on your own independently. So have a look at this. You might have seen this before. It's called a blob tree or an evaluation tree. So in relation to all of the topics that we've done on the nature and attributes of God, where would you put yourself? Are you up here at the top, understanding it all and feeling happy? Are you falling? Are you a little bit wobbly and a bit unsure? Are you here at the bottom? You haven't really kind of got to grips with the work. You haven't done enough. Maybe you're climbing, you're trying to catch up. Wherever you are, I'd really like to hear from you. So just let me know how you're getting on and what I can do to help. Okay. That's one thing you could do. You could teach somebody in your house about what you've been learning and use as many of those words as possible. So that's it from me for today. It's a 2-hour lesson, but there's probably a little bit more than 2 hours there for you to do. Big things to remember is, please, can you hand in your essay plan sheet? That's the one thing I really want you handed in. I also should see your emails to each other because I'm CC'd on them. And any questions, send them to me. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.